I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the Top Gun Sales Bootcamp training, and we're in week 5. How are you all doing in the pre-show? You always come early, always stay late. In the pre-show, Kenny was asking about, like, there's some people he's motivated around. How does he go ahead and become self-motivated? And so, how does he self motivate himself? Do you guys know what the benefit of not being motivated is?
You can learn to motivate yourself.
Um, it's exercise your self discipline muscles. So if you're motivated to do something, it's pretty easy. You're motivated, right? If I'm motivated to work out, if I'm motivated to work, if I'm motivated to plan, if I'm motivated to read, if I'm motivated to go through the courses, if I'm motivated to go through things, well, then, I'm motivated. And so it's like, so I'm motivated to do things. And so I'm motivated. But if, um, if I'm not motivated to do something, then it exercises my self discipline muscles. I become more disciplined, or it gives me the opportunity to become more disciplined. And so we know, what are the 3 things that create a great company, a great individual from the book Good to Great?
Disciplined thinkers, disciplined people, disciplined taking action. I have the first two.
Yeah. So, yeah, disciplined people, disciplined thinkers, and discipline in taking action. So those 3 things is what's going to give us create success for, everybody, for everybody. It's just disciplined people, disciplined thinkers, discipline in taking action. So I was saying to Kenny beforehand, I was saying, um, I think that you guys that are smart have an disadvantage over somebody like me who's not. Like, it's amazing to me how many people shoot themselves in the foot in life. And it's just like, how do you think you're going to recover from that? And they do. Like, they do. It's like they do one stupid thing and then they recover from it. Me, I've always just thought, Mark, you're just so stupid. You can't afford to do one stupid thing, much less 2 or 3 or 5 or 10. And so, for me, there's this confidence that comes from doing the right thing. There's this confidence that comes from delayed gratification. There's this confidence that comes from not giving up, not quitting, pushing forward on things. There's this confidence that comes from not quitting, looking like you're an epic failure and you just stick with it. And so there's strength and stamina. And so smart people, they often, like Ross Perot, he's a billionaire, and he spoke at some college and he said, I want all the A and B students to stand up. And so they all stood up and everybody's putting their chest out and pretty proud of themselves. And he's like, okay, now sit down and all the C and D students stand up. And timidly, the C and D students stand up. And he said, I want all you A and B students to look at the C and D students because that's who you're going to be working for. Like, I mean, I was a A and B student when I was in my community college. And then when I went to the 4 year college, I slipped down to a B and C student. But I'm really a C and D student. Like, I really am. It's just work. I just worked hard. I'm paying all this money. I hate going to school, hate going to college.
Why is that?
Why is what?
The A and B will work for the C and D.
Anybody know? The re- Go ahead,
The,
Kenny.
their work ethic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The work ethic of C and D students are really, really, really high. And so the work the work ethic of the C and D students are really high, and the A and B students, are not as much. They're often just smart, and they're intellectually smart, often not physically. They don't know how to take intellectually. They're smart, but yeah, taking it into application, and so they know how to follow the rules. And in business, there's a lot of stuff. Which rules do you follow? Which ones don't you? And the A and B students will go ahead, and the A and B students will often go ahead and um, they'll take the safe route. They'll become like my oldest brother. He's a CPA. So they'll take the safe routes. My youngest sister is a medical doctor. Nothing wrong with those things at all. Need both of them. But business owners, they take risk, and often A and B students don't. So for me, I've just had to work my whole life. I mean, I remember very specifically, what was I, 12 or 13? And saying, Mark, you're an average to below average. I mean, God told me that when I was 8 years old, but I remember thinking 12, 13, I'm like, you are really average, Mark. And then I'm like, do you want to be average? Like, I have a conversation. Do you want to, do you want to be average, Mark? And I'm like, no. Okay, so you're not intelligent. Your intellect, your brain is not gonna go ahead, and you're not smart. You're definitely not the sharpest tool in the tool shed. I mean, it took me until 40 years old to go ahead and have anybody say that I was smart. Not even my own mom. Like, nobody told me I was smart. And so I said, 12, 13, I said, how are you going to be extraordinary? How are you going to be amazing? And I said, you're going to work. Like Linda Brakel, my international speaking coach. I think I shared this in a previous one. Like taking things to heart. Like when I talked to Tom over the last 20 years, like, and he said to me, he's like, you're just crazy, Mark. He says, you're insane. It's like you got photographic auditory memory. I tell you something and you remember it 7 years later. I tell you once and you remember it 7 years. See, I'm listening for significance. And with most human beings, there's not a lot of, honestly, there's not a lot of significant things they're saying. And so there's not a lot of significant things they're saying. So it's not that hard. But with Tom, I'm telling you, like every minute I'm with him, every conversation I have, there's something significant. It's insane. So, Becca made an interesting observation too, Becky, and that was, Becca said she liked how I carried myself, I think is what she said, if I got that right. Becca, what does that mean to you?
It's very much just like a aura, a vibe of how like your thought process is. It comes across in how you think, it comes across in how you interact with people.
So thank you. That comes from a work ethic. It comes from, I'm seeking the truth. I'm not seeking somebody to tell me something that seduces me into thinking I'm an amazing person. I don't want to think I'm an amazing person. I want to be an amazing person. And to be an amazing person, I have to do amazing things. And most of those things, nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to see. Nobody's going to understand. Nobody's going to know the work that I do. They just won't. Even my wife and my kids, they just don't. And it's okay. And so, like when you're not looking for praise, like Ben, like you guys, I mean, I don't know if Becky's ever met him. I don't think she has, but he's a funny guy. But once in a kayak, we were doing a kayak adventure, a couple years ago. I'll never forget that. And we're going down the river and he's like, Dad, I wish I was like you. Like he's only said that once. Not a lot of people say that, which is fine. But I said, what do you mean? He says, like, you don't care what anybody thinks about you. I consider what everybody thinks, but I don't care. He says, I care about what everybody thinks about me. And so he asked Alvin Miller, who's in his 80s. He says, we're talking and meeting with Alvin, and it's like, so how do you, how do you go ahead and not care what people think? And Alvin didn't even pause. He's just like a reflex. He's just like reflex. He's like, why would you do that? You give people control over you. So you're seeking to please them. You're seeking to impress them. So you're not authentic. And I don't like it, to yourself. You're like, why are people drawn to me? And why are some people drawn to me so much? Like it's insane. They can feel that vibe, and other people just hate me, just despise me. I just discovered that. Why the despising so much? So I see what people could be. Like they're created in God's image. They're knit together. David says you're knit together in your mother's womb. You're this amazing, crazy bird. You're created to be something spectacular. I mean, if I can be spectacular, which I'm still working on, if I can be anybody can do it. I mean, really, seriously, honestly. But it takes hard work. It takes sacrifice. It takes risk. It just does. And so that's why people love me, because they're like, this guy believes in me better than anybody, more than I believe in myself, more than anybody. He believes in me more than my mom and dad believe. I've never had anybody in my life that believes in me more than Mark. Like Mark believes I can do anything that my heart desires to do. And then what reason why people hate me is because I'll reveal their hearts. And they get really ticked when that happens. Well, don't get ticked if your heart is deceitful and desperately wicked. I mean, mine too. like, you're an idiot. Well, Mark, do you think you're an idiot? Probably a bigger idiot than you are. Why? I don't know. I'm hanging around you. No, I'm just joking. I don't know. Like, you have to have a sense of humor too. You need to be able to laugh at yourself. So, Nora, what were your numbers?
Nora's phone can't connect, or she can't connect to internet.
Yeah, she's on my speaker. So sorry. Go ahead, Nora.
9%.
9%. So that's exciting, isn't it, Nora? 9%? Oh my
No,
goodness.
it's frustrating.
No, it's frustrating. And what are the three elements to frustration, everybody? How hard you work, how much you care, your level of expectation, self-systems, and others. It's reflex. Frustration is your greatest friend. It is the thing that will motivate and inspire you. When you get frustrated, you're going to work harder, you're going to care more, and you're going to increase your expectation, first of yourself, then your systems, and then your other. Like it was 20% yesterday, and Nora's going for 30%, or 2 days ago. She's going for 30%. She only got 9%. That's not going to happen again. Dang. Like, so what's she going to do different today to go ahead and make it the 30%? She's going to call me, talk to me, text me. Hey, how do I go ahead and what do I do? Like, what do I do? Like, I can get her to the 30%. That's easy. All she has to do is plug into my energy and my passion. She's at 30%. That's not hard at all. The hard part is how do she and I do it on a daily basis? The harder part is how does she do it with each of you? The harder part is how does she do it on her own? And moms single moms, especially, my heart just goes out to them because it's just hard. Like, Becky got on like 10 minutes early today. Like, how you doing? And she's like, I'm tired. Right? Like she's like, when you have two kids getting up, every hour, like, jeepers. I mean, fortunately, women were created not to have to sleep, so that's an advantage thing. It's not true. You don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe Mark knows something. You're 30 years old. I'm 61. Have a little respect. Maybe. I don't know. So I have a heart for women, and so it's like, let's get that done, girl. Like, get that done. Let's get that figured out. And then, tonight, you're at the end of the workday, if you're not at 30%, you call me. And then let's put a plan together, tonight for tomorrow. Or maybe you call me after work hours and you're saying, okay, I'm done. How are we going to get to 40% or whatever you want to do? See, you have to care more about your success than I do. All of you do. And that's the thing that's the hardest for me. It's just hardest. Like Kenny, 3-4 years ago, he'd call me up and he'd be like, hey, can I come over to your house? Like, sure. And just work at your table, like in your kitchen. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Dining room. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, do you want me to do anything? Do you need me anything? Nope. Just want to come over and sit there. Why? I don't know. Just being around you helps me to be productive. Okay. No, that makes sense. See, your life vision is so important. Like your life vision and then an appreciation for life. I wish you all knew me when I was each of your ages. I really do. like, like I really do. Man, I was on fire. Holy cow. Becky, what's your numbers?
I think it was like a 5%.
Nice.
No, it's not. It's aggravating.
Right? It's frustrating. Nice. Kenny, what your numbers?
Um, Year to date, I don't know the numbers for yesterday. They have been low too. Year to date, I know we were at 70%.
On track to hit 70%?
No. Track or number of leads,
Number of
70%.
leads. Okay. Gotcha. And so, hopefully, and you guys mind that's been through the boot camp and some of the other training, hopefully all of you are like, so okay, I got to generate the quantity of leads into the 530 grid. So I've got to generate the quantity of leads and then I've got to have quality of leads because if I don't have quality of leads, I'm going to be working a lot harder, right? Like I can still reach my goal, but that's where Nora, she's crushing it on business x-ray sales, but we're not converting those to action vision. So we've had to build some strategies to fix that part of the pipeline. So you got to have the quantity of leads and the quality of leads, more and better leads, and then you got to work those leads. You got to convert those leads. Then you got to create raving fan experience on all of those clients. And then you create client for life. Like you got to be willing to work harder than you've ever worked in your life. And that will make you feel good. That will give you a presence. Like that it just will. And people will be drawn to you. And there's a high probability that the right people will be drawn to you and the wrong people will be repelled by you. And that's really important for women. Men too, but really important for women. Big time. Luke, what's your numbers?
30%.
Okay. All right. So again, the self-discipline, if you don't hit your goal, if you don't hit your goal. So you got to get to 100%. Based on Action Vision, you got to get to 96% to go ahead and hit 100% of your goal, your WOW income goal. Based on Kenny and Luke last year, I think you're a positive 60% variance. It's like, what? Like, all you had to do is reach 40% of your actions, and you could have gotten 100% of your results. And so, Becca, what did you do yesterday to move things forward for you?
So I basically just jumped on the email that you had sent me and was going through like all of like the different clips, the videos and stuff that were on there, just kind of like figuring it out on my own as well. And then writing down in my notes like different questions that I had for each section. So I'm
Nice.
kind of getting into that right now, which is really cool because a lot of it, I didn't really know what was going on with it. And then like just listening to it, and then I'd go back and listen to it as well. Because I do like to revisit stuff so I can actually learn the second time. So yeah, I did tap into that yesterday. So it's pretty cool. I liked some of the graphs and stuff that I was seeing. There are a couple that I do want you to like explain to me, and I'll email you about that. Just like with the questions that I have as well.
So are you still wanting me to be direct at a 10 with you?
Yes.
Does anybody have any advice for Becca? Dan Graham, he's president and founder, owner of Compass Mortgage. So he used to play, big guy. I mean, just huge. He used to play the center in football for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, professional football player. This guy, he just, man, big guy. And so he would bring these young men in to do, essentially Top Gun sales boot camp, like 30 years ago plus. And I'd ask these young guys 1 to 10, how direct would you like me to be? And they'd be 10 because their testosterone's, really strong. Like, I can take anything. And Dan would just laugh and say, don't ever ask for more than a 6 or 7 from Mark. He'll kill you. I mean, he said, I've never seen a guy like that. He said, I've seen Mark just bring grown men to cry, to tears. And so it's going to be interesting to see as I ramp things up with Becca how well she does on me being a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and greater. Anybody else have anything else?
Yeah.
What about the 360 BC?
Oh, 360 BC. So BC, a biggest challenge. And so what's the biggest challenge in any area of your life, business or life? And they tell you, and then you say, tell me more. BC is typically when you're doing the big accounts. And so, Nora and Becky are getting geared up to go after the big whales, where, a sales commission could be 100,000 on one sale, more. Like, it's big. These things are great and fun to hunt. They're addictive, and man, their sales cycle can be long. Oh, and some of the stories I could share with you on that. So 360 BC is when you talk typically to a higher level person. And what you're doing is, what's the biggest challenge that your employees are facing right now? What's the biggest challenge that your leadership team are facing right now? What's the biggest challenge that your, operations are facing, your sales are facing? What's the biggest challenge, your wife is facing? What's the biggest challenge your kids are facing? What's the biggest challenge? So you always close with, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? So 360 is getting the biggest challenges of everyone around. And so you could ask me a 360 BC and say, Mark, what's the biggest challenge that the Top Gun people are you're facing with the Top Gun people right now? Mark, what's the biggest challenge you're facing with company 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Like, Like, what's the biggest challenges you're facing there? What's the biggest challenges you're facing with your wife? What's the biggest challenge you're facing with your kids? What's the biggest challenge you're facing with your grandkids? What's the biggest challenge you're facing with churches? So it's you're getting as many BCs as you can. That's a 360 BC. You're exposing all of the weaknesses, all the pain, all the stuff there. That's what a 360 BC is. Make sense, Becky?
Yes.
Okay. So then you leverage all of those. You press in on those. You press in on the pain. Because if you can help me in any of those BC areas, that's going to bring me value. I'm going to be drawn to you, solutions, how can I help you? How do you help me? All of those type of things. So GE is one of the stories. I don't know. One of you ought to probably write a book with me about pursuing the white, whale, the big one, and so GE, I was in my 20s and early 20s, and I went after, or late 20s, 27, 28, and I went after GE. And I say, you don't get where I've gotten without doing a lot of things right with big accounts. And you don't walk away with what I've walked away with without doing a lot of things wrong. And so GE, over a number of years, we put over $200,000 in time and money into them and walked away with $1,300. See, I'm not really interested in pursuing the big accounts. I'm just not. But I'm willing to do it for Nora and Becky for sure. They're young and a lot of energy, a lot of passion. Like, I'm for sure. I want to see them. I want to see them land the big whale. I want to see them, I was on track at the age of 27 years old to do $460,000 a year in income, had $1 million in equity. I want them to see greater success than I have had. I can't wait till they make $500,000 or $1 million. And I want them to do it a lot faster than I've done it. Anybody else have anything else? So, like my two daughters, couple of my daughters, 2 or 3 of my daughters are marathon runners. And they talk about, running a marathon, which is, I don't know, 30 miles or whatever it is. I think Kenny's done some of that. And they talk about hitting a runner's wall. It's like where you can't do anything more. This is one of the benefits of, being, a mom or a dad, having kids. Like once I was so depressed, so discouraged, so I was probably in my mid 30s. I mean, I was not in a good place. And I just started crying, like a lot. And Rosanna, she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'll be fine. And she's like, do we need to, it was that kind of a cry where she's like, is he going to make it? Like, do we need to hospitalize you? Do we need to get you, therapy, something? I said, bring me a timer, like one of those, egg timers or whatever you call it, and so I got an hour, and I set the timer for an hour. And I just cried and cried and cried and cried for an hour. And then the timer went off, and I, washed my face and cleaned up and went to work. And Rosanna's like, what's going on? And I said, well, I had an hour to be depressed. And I've got 7 kids. I've got a wife and 7 kids. So you know what? I had an hour to be depressed. I got depressed, and now I got to get back to work. And she just laughed. And who laughs at a depressed person? But I didn't have time. I just got to do what I got to do. And so there's so many stories. It's the mental game, the sales, the hardest part in sales is the mental game. It's controlling and disciplining your mind. So hopefully this has been helpful to all of you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.